The wind howled through the countryside, carrying the scent of damp earth and regret. I, Lily, stood at the edge of my world, a world built on sacrifices no one saw. Orphaned at 5, when my parents' car veered off a rain-slicked road, I was left with nothing but their whispered dreams for me. They had been scholars, kind souls who once pulled the Carter family from the brink of ruin with loans and labor. Out of debt or pity, the Carters took me in, their rural home a patchwork of creaking wood and unspoken obligations. I grew up in their shadow, a quiet girl with ink-stained fingers and a heart full of gratitude. At 19, I married Jason Carter, their only son, the boy who'd once shared stolen apples with me under the old oak. His smile had felt like home, and I mistook his familiarity for love. The wedding was simple: Mrs. Carter's tight-lipped nod, Mr. Carter's gruff toast, and Jason's distracted gaze. I didn't notice then how his eyes lingered elsewhere, how his touch never warmed. I was young and naive, believing love would grow like the wheat in the fields. But love didn't grow. Jason refused to share my bed, his excuses sharp as frost. "I'm tired," he'd say, or "It's not the right time." When whispers of infertility circled, he let them settle on me, a heavy cloak I wore in silence. His parents' disapproval stung, Mrs. Carter's sighs, Mr. Carter's pointed glances over his pipe. "A woman must bear children," they'd mutter as if I were a barren field. I swallowed the shame, believing it was mine to carry. Jason joined the military soon after, and his departure was a relief and a wound. He left me with 2 children, handed over by a distant relative, their small hands clutching mine as he vanished into the horizon. "Raise them well," Mrs. Carter said, her tone more command than request. I didn't question it. I cooked, cleaned, taught them letters by candlelight, and stitched their clothes until my fingers bled. The Carters watched, never helping, their gratitude as scarce as rain in a drought. The children grew, bright and curious, and my pride in a life of little else. 18 years passed, each day a thread in a tapestry of duty. The children, now young adults, earned acceptance to Tingwa University, a beacon of hope. I planned a celebration banquet, and my heart was swelling with their success. The village hall buzzed with laughter, lanterns casting warm light on weathered faces. Jason returned, his military uniform crisp, his presence rare as a comet. Beside him stood Emily Stone, a woman with soft curls and a smile that cut like glass. I didn't know her, yet her ease with Jason stirred unease. As the banquet peaked, Jason rose, glass in hand. "A toast," he said, his voice steady, "to my children, who've made us proud." The room cheered, but his following words shattered me. "These are my biological children, mine and Emily's. We owe Lily thanks for raising them." The hall fell silent, eyes darting to me. Emily beamed her arm around one child, Jason the other. They stood as a family, 6 of them, whole, while I was the outsider, the fool who'd toiled in the dark. My chest tightened, the air too thin. I saw it all: Jason's distance, Emily's shadow in our marriage, the Carters' knowing glances. I'd been a tool, my love, a currency spent on their lies. The children looked away, guilt in their eyes, but they didn't speak. I stumbled out, the night swallowing me. Tears blurred the stars as I ran, the cliff's edge looming. My foot slipped, and as I fell, the world dissolved into black, my heart crying for a life unlived. The void enveloped me, a weightless dark where time unraveled. As I fell from the cliff, my life's pain, Jason's coldness, Emily's smirk, the Carters' disdain, flashed like lightning. Then a warmth bloomed, a soft golden light pulsing around me. My parents' faint yet unmistakable voices wove through the glow. "Lily, our star, live for yourself." Their faces shimmered, my mother's gentle eyes, my father's proud smile, gone since I was 5, now guiding me. A force, tender yet unyielding, cradled my soul. Was this death or something more? I gasped, my eyes snapping open. The air was thick with wood smoke and morning dew. I lay in a narrow bed, the familiar rough quilt, its stitches in my memory. My hands, trembling, were smooth, unscarred by years of labor. I was 19 again, in the Carter house, the first year of my marriage. The calendar on the wall read 1980, its edges curled. My heart pounded. 18 years of sacrifice, the banquet's betrayal, all undone. I touched my face, tears welling. This was no dream. I had been reborn. Fear clawed at me. Could I change my fate? The Carters' control and Jason's indifference had shaped my past life like iron chains. My old self, meek and eager to please, whispered to comply, to bow under their weight. But the light's echo, my parents' plea, burned brighter. I rose, legs unsteady, and faced the mirror. The girl staring back had my eyes, but they held a spark. Anger, resolve, a flicker of defiance. I clutched the bedpost, whispering, I won't live that life again. Voices drifted from the family hall, Mrs. Carter's clipped tone, Mr. Carter's low grumble. I crept closer, the floorboards creaking under my bare feet. The room was crowded, relatives perched on stools, their whispers buzzing like flies. Jason stood by the hearth, cradling a swaddled child, his face impassive. Emily Stone lingered at the back, her gaze soft on the baby, a secret smile curling her lips. My stomach churned. She was here, already woven into my life, her betrayal seeded long before I knew. Mrs. Carter cleared her throat, eyes locking on me as I hovered at the doorway. Lily, you're just in time, she said, her voice syrupy with expectation. This is Aunt May's fourth child from Green Hill Village. She heard you and Jason struggle to conceive, so she sent the baby for you to raise. The words were a blade, sharp with the lie of my infertility, a lie Jason had let fester. The relatives nodded, their pity a heavy shroud. Emily's smile widened, knowing, and I saw the truth. This child was hers, Jason's, a burden they'd passed to me. My throat tightened. In my past life, I'd nodded, guilt and duty binding me. I'd raised that child and another, pouring my youth into their care, only to be cast aside. The memory of the banquet and their happy family, excluding me, seared my chest. My old self begged to stay silent, to avoid their wrath. But my parents' voices echoed, "Live for yourself." I straightened, heart racing, and met Mrs. Carter's gaze. Could I defy her, them, this life? Jason shifted, his eyes flicking to me, expectant. He thought I'd crumble, as always. The relatives leaned in, their murmurs fading, waiting for my answer. Mrs. Carter's calm certainty, as if my refusal was unthinkable, ignited something within me. My fear battled my resolve, but the light's warmth lingered, a celestial gift urging me forward. This was my chance, my parents' wish from beyond, to reclaim the life stolen from me. I breathed, my voice trembling but firm, ready to speak words that would shatter their plans. The family hall hummed with expectation, the air thick with pipe smoke and unspoken demands. I stood at the doorway, my pulse hammering, the weight of my reborn resolve clashing with the ghost of my old, compliant self. Mrs. Carter's words hung heavy. Raise Aunt May's child, a veiled command to bear another's burden. Emily Stone's sly smile, tucked among the relatives, confirmed the truth. This was her child, Jason's, a secret they'd foist on me. My parents' celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," pulsed in my veins, urging me to break free. I scanned the room. Mr. Carter puffed his pipe, his eyes narrow with authority. Relatives murmured, their pity a familiar sting, branding me the barren wife. Jason cradled the swaddled child, his gaze flicking to me, certain I'd bend. In my past life, I had, nodding mutely, guilt swallowing my dreams. I'd raised 2 children, Emily's and Jason's, for 18 years, only to be discarded at their university banquet. The memory seared, their happy family, my exclusion, never again. My old self whimpered, urging silence to avoid the Carters' wrath. What if they cast me out? Where would I go at 19, with no family but their grudging roof? But the golden light from my rebirth warmed my chest, my parents' voices a shield. I wasn't that girl anymore. I was Lily, the scholar's daughter, reborn to reclaim her life. My hands clenched, nails biting my palms. I had to speak, to shatter their script. I took a step forward, my voice low but steady. "Jason, do you want to raise this child?" The question cut through the murmurs, heads turning. His brows furrowed, surprised I'd address him directly. He shifted the baby, his tone dismissive. "That's a woman's business, Lily. If you want to, I won't stop you." His words were a trap, assuming my compliance, absolving him of care. Emily's eyes gleamed, expectant, her victory assured. The room waited, Mrs. Carter's calm certainty a challenge. My fear surged, defiance could unravel everything, but I saw my past life's end, the cliff, my fall, my wasted years. I wouldn't repeat it. Drawing a shaky breath, I met Jason's gaze. Then I don't want to raise them. If you do, you'd better give it your all. Don't waste their parents' intentions. My voice grew firmer, each word a stone cast against their plans. Silence crashed over the hall. Jason's jaw dropped, disbelief etching his face. Emily's smile faltered, her hands twitching. The relatives gasped, whispers erupting like sparks. What did she say? Refusing a child? Mrs. Carter's composure cracked, her eyes wide. Lily, think carefully, she said, voice tight. Aunt May meant well. You've no children of your own. The lie of my infertility, one they'd nurtured, stung, but I held my ground. Jason stepped closer, his disapproval sharp. How can you be so selfish? This isn't like you. His words echoed my past life's guilt, but they no longer bound me. Selfish? I shot back, my voice rising. I'm only 19, Jason. There's no proof I can't have children. Why should I raise someone else's? The truth rang out, exposing their deception. Emily shrank back, her guilt bare. The relatives shifted, uneasy, sensing the shift. Mrs. Carter tried to salvage control. Let's not argue, Lily. Jason likes the child. We'll support you both. Her support, I knew, was a mirage. Endless tasks, no aid, as in my past life. Mr. Carter nodded, puffing smoke. We'll register the child under you and Jason tomorrow. The finality in his tone was meant to close the matter, to chain me once more. My heart thundered, but my resolve was iron. I'm not raising them, I declared, my voice clear as a bell. If you register that child under my name, I'll file for divorce. The word, divorce, exploded like thunder. Gasps rippled through the room. Jason froze, his eyes wide with shock. Mrs. Carter clutched her shawl, speechless. Even Mr. Carter's pipe paused midair. Divorce was unthinkable in their world, a scandal they couldn't fathom. I turned, my legs trembling but my spirit soaring. The hall's stunned silence followed me as I walked out, the morning sun warm on my face. I'd defied the Carters, Jason, the life that had crushed me. My old self's fear lingered, whispering of consequences, but the celestial light's echo drowned it out. This was my first victory, a step toward freedom. I didn't know what lay ahead, but for the first time I felt alive, my parents' wish guiding my path. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Carters' yard, but my heart glowed with the fire of defiance. My divorce threat still echoed in the silent hall behind me, a line drawn in the dust of my past life. I'd refused to raise Emily's child, shattering the Carters' expectations, but the weight of my choice pressed hard. Where could I go at 19 with no family but their grudging shelter? Fear nibbled at my resolve, yet the celestial whisper from my rebirth, live for yourself, urged me forward. I needed a plan, a way out. I headed to the village postbox, a rusted tin box by the dirt road, its paint peeling like old skin. I'd rarely checked it in my past life, trusting Mrs. Carter to handle mail. Instinct pulled me there, a hunch born of my reborn clarity. My fingers trembled as I opened the lid, revealing a single envelope, yellowed but unopened, addressed to me in a familiar, elegant scrawl. My breath caught. Grandpa Lewis, my parents' university professor, who'd treated me like his own. I tore it open, my eyes scanning the contents. Inside was a 100 yuan note, crisp despite the era's scarcity, and a bundle of food and fabric ration tickets, precious as gold in the 1980s. A letter written in Grandpa Lewis's steady hand followed. Lily, my dear girl, your parents would be proud. Use this to build your future. I'll send more each month. Tears blurred the ink. He'd been supporting me all along, his gifts hidden by the Carters, who'd used them to fatten their lives while I wore threadbare clothes. The betrayal cut deep, a fresh wound atop Jason's lies. I dug deeper into the postbox, my heart racing. Another envelope, heavier, bore the seal of Tsinghua University. My hands shook as I opened a letter of acceptance dated months ago, congratulating me on my admission through self-study. The Carters had buried it, clipping my wings to keep me their mule. In my past life, I'd learned of this too late. After raising Emily's children, my dreams dust. The letter was a beacon, proof of my worth, a path to freedom. I clutched it, tears falling, my parents' pride shimmering in my mind's eye. The weight of the Carters' deception settled like stone. They'd taken Grandpa Lewis's money, my future, my very self, all to bind me to their lies. My old self might have crumbled, but my reborn resolve burned brighter. I was no longer their pawn. I needed to reach Grandpa Lewis to secure my escape before the Carters tightened their grip. 3 days, I decided, 3 days, to leave this village and claim my life in Tingwa. I hurried to Aunt Wanda's general store, the only place with a telephone. Weathered by years of watching me toil under the Carters' roof, her kind eyes softened as I approached. "Lily, you look different today," she said, tilting her head. I managed a smile, my voice low. "I need to make a call, Aunt Wanda, to someone who can help me." She nodded, understanding my unspoken pain, and waved off my offer of ration tickets. "Use the phone, child. I've got deliveries to make." "Watch the store?" I nodded, gratitude swelling. Her trust was a rare gift. Alone, I dialed Grandpa Lewis's number, etched in my reborn memory. The line rang thrice, each tone a heartbeat. A deep, weathered voice answered, "Hello, who's this?" My throat tightened. "Grandpa Lewis, it's Lily." There was a pause, and then joy flooded his tone. "Lily, my little girl, you remembered this older man." I choked back sobs, telling him of my rediscovered acceptance of Tingwa, the Carter's theft, and my plan to reach Beijing in 3 days. His voice grew somber, laced with regret. "I should have protected you, child. Come to me. I'll be waiting." He urged me to stay with him, his words a lifeline across the miles. "Your parents would be over the moon," he said, pridefully. I hung up, my chest lighter, the future tangible. I hid the letters and money in a secret fold of my skirt, a spot the Carters would never check. As I entered the sunlight, Aunt Wanda returned, her smile warm. "You'll be all right, Lily," she said. I vowed to repay her kindness someday, my resolve steeling. 3 days, and I'd break free, my parents' celestial gift lighting the way. The Carter house loomed in the dusk, its warped boards creaking like the lies it sheltered. My steps were light but purposeful, the Tingwa acceptance letter and Grandpa Lewis's money hidden in my skirt's secret fold. 2 days remained until I escaped to Beijing, and my divorce threat still hung over the Carters, a silent quake they hadn't yet countered. My heart thrummed with resolve, but doubt lingered. Could I outwit their grasp? The celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," steadied me, my parents' gift urging me to hold fast. Inside, the main room was dim, lit by a single oil lamp. Most relatives had left after my stand, their whispers of scandal trailing them. Only Jason, Emily, Mr. Carter, and Mrs. Carter remained, their voices low, plotting. I paused at the doorway, unseen in the shadows, my breath shallow. In my past life, I'd trusted their words, blind to their schemes. I listened, reborn, needing proof of their betrayal to fuel my flight. Emily's voice, anxious but sharp, cut through. "Jason, if Lily won't raise the children, what then?" She clutched one of the babies, her eyes darting. Jason's reply was cold, unyielding. "She'll raise them, willing or not. I'm off to the army in a month, and you're for college. Who else can handle them?" My stomach twisted, his words a mirror of my past life's burden. 18 years raising their children, my dreams buried. Mrs. Carter chimed in, her tone smug. "Don't fret, Emily. Lily's one of ours. She won't dare defy us." Mr. Carter, puffing his pipe, nodded. "It's settled. She doesn't call the shots here." His authority, once crushing, now rang hollow. Their words were carved into me, not with pain, but with clarity. They'd never seen me as family, only a tool to serve their needs. Jason's ambition, Emily's freedom, the Carters' comfort. In my past life, their plotting had trapped me. Now, it freed me, each syllable hardening my resolve to leave. I slipped away, my heart a storm of anger and purpose. I began packing in my small room, barely bigger than a closet. My belongings were few, a worn winter coat, 2 summer dresses, a pair of patched shoes. Compared to Emily's thick wool coat, made, I now knew, from Grandpa Lewis's stolen coupons, my possessions were scraps. I sorted through mementos, a notebook from Jason, its pages filled with my old, hopeful scrawls. A woven bracelet he'd given me, now faded. I'd clung to them in my past life, mistaking his gestures for love. Now, they were relics of my naivety. I set them aside, my hands steady. I murmured what needed to go, my voice a vow. Each item I discarded lightened me, shedding the girl who'd loved a man who never loved her. My old self stirred, pleading to keep these tokens, to hold on to the dream of Jason's care. But the banquet's betrayal, his family with Emily, my exclusion, flashed in my mind, silencing that voice. I was reborn, not to repeat my pain, but to rise above it. Jason's boots thudded outside, and he entered without knocking with a wool scarf. He said, "I've been distant since we married," tossing it on the bed, his tone more obligation than apology. "I bought it from the city." I glanced at it. Its pattern matched Emily's coat, likely made from my stolen coupons, a cruel afterthought. I'd cherished such scraps in my past life, desperate for his approval. Now I saw it for what it was, a bribe to keep me pliant. He noticed the notebook and bracelet pushed to the corner. "What's this?" he asked, frowning. "Cleaning up," I said, my voice flat. "What doesn't belong gets thrown out." His eyes narrowed, a flicker of unease crossing his face, but he pressed on. "I'm joining the army soon. You need to focus on the kids. Our parents raised us. It wasn't easy. Do your part." His words, meant to guilt me, fell flat. I met his gaze, unflinching. "You're leaving in a month. Why not help your parents now?" He hesitated, caught off guard. He muttered, "I'll do my share," but his eyes slid away. Emily's voice called from the hall, soft and needy. "Jason, there's no hot water." He left without a glance, hurrying to her. I stood alone, the scarf untouched, my resolve ironclad. Their plotting, his indifference, confirmed what I'd known. I owed them nothing. I tucked my packed bag under the bed, my escape plan clear. 2 days, and I'd be gone, the Carter's schemes crumbling behind me. The dawn air was crisp and heavy with the scent of dew and diesel as I stood outside the Carter house, my travel bag clutched tight. 1 day remained until I escaped to Beijing, my Tinga acceptance letter and Grandpa Lewis's money sewn into the bag's lining. My divorce threat had rattled the Carters, but they hadn't relented, their plotting to bind me to Emily's children a noose tightening. My heart raced. Could I slip away unnoticed? The celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," anchored me, my parents' gift a beacon in the dark. Mrs. Carter's voice broke the quiet, sharp with purpose. "Jason, take Lily to the city tomorrow. Her clothes are worn. Emily can go too. It's on the way." I nodded silently, masking my intent. This trip was meant to placate me, and it was my chance. I'd buy a train ticket to Beijing, leaving Jason and Emily behind. My old self trembled, fearing their suspicion, but my reborn resolve was steel. I'd play their game, let them think me docile until I was free. At first light, Jason knocked his face a mix of annoyance and haste. I opened the door, dressed, and packed, my bag heavier than it looked. "Why such a big bag?" he asked, eyes narrowing. "Food," I said flatly, my voice betraying nothing. Emily bounced out, her wool coat a taunt of my stolen coupons. "Lily, we're not farming," she teased. "They've got food in the city." Jason's irritation flared. "Bring it, but don't expect me to carry it." I shrugged, my calm a shield. Nothing could shake me today. We climbed onto the village chief's pig transport truck, its rusted frame rattling under us. Jason helped Emily, laying the newspaper to keep her coat clean, and his care was a silent slight. I scrambled aboard alone, finding a corner among the crates, my bag a lifeline. The truck lurched forward, the village fading behind us. A woman from a neighboring hamlet watched Jason and Emily's closeness, her voice low but clear. Newlyweds, so sweet, more attentive than my man ever was. The village chief corrected her, gesturing to me. "That's his wife there." The woman's eyes widened, confusion turning to disdain. "Concubines are outlawed, yet the wife sits in the corner?" Her whisper carried, sharp as a blade. Emily's face flushed, and she edged away from Jason. His jaw tightened, and a glare shot my way as if I'd orchestrated the shame. I stared ahead, the horizon my focus, their drama a fading echo. My old self might have ached at their bond, but now I saw it for what it was, a chain I'd soon break. In the city, the market buzzed with vendors and dust. Jason thrust 5 crumpled yuan into my hands, his voice cold. "Buy clothes, be back at 3 sharp." He turned to Emily, their steps light as they vanished into the crowd. I pocketed the money, knowing Mrs. Carter had given him 50, yet I was worth only 5 in his eyes. It didn't matter. I'd told Grandpa Lewis to stop sending funds. His past gifts were enough to sever ties. My path led to the train station, its iron gates a promise of freedom. At the ticket booth, I slid my yuan through the slot, my voice steady, one to Beijing today. The clerk, an older woman with kind eyes, handed me a ticket. Going to college, dear? She asked, noting my worn coat. I nodded, a lump in my throat. Tsinghua University. Her smile warmed me. Good for you. I tucked the ticket beside my acceptance letter, my heart pounding with purpose. The clock showed noon, hours to spare before Jason's deadline, hours to shed my past. I boarded the train, its whistle a call to destiny. As it pulled away, the city blurred, and tears fell. Not for Jason, but for the girl I'd been. Sent to the Carters at 5, I'd grown up in Jason's shadow, mistaking his presence for love. I'd poured my heart into him, believing he'd see me one day. But to him I was a sister, a maid, a tool, never a wife. That love, held for a decade, was an obsession, not truth. My parents, watching from heaven, must have wept at my past life, tethered to a man who'd betrayed me. The train's rhythm soothed me. Each clack was a step toward rebirth. I imagined my parents' faces in the golden light of my fall, their wish for my freedom now real. This journey wasn't just to Beijing, it was to myself, to the scholar's daughter they'd raised. I wiped my tears, the ticket a talisman. Jason and Emily, lost in their schemes, would return to a village without me. I was done carrying their burdens. As the fields rolled by, I vowed to shine, my life no longer theirs to dim. The train's final whistle echoed through Beijing's bustling station, a city with honking bicycles and the pulse of possibility. I stepped onto the platform, my travel bag light but heavy with hope, my Tsinghua acceptance letter and Grandpa Lewis's money still sewn inside. The Carters, Jason and Emily, were a village away, their schemes unraveling without me. My escape had succeeded, but my heart wavered. Could I rebuild after years of betrayal? The celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," lingered, my parents' gift guiding me to this new dawn. I navigated the crowded streets, the capital's grandeur both daunting and exhilarating. Towering buildings dwarfed the Carters' creaking house, their lights contrasting my past life's dim lamps. I hesitated at the Lewis residence, a stately courtyard home with red lanterns swaying. The last time I'd seen Grandpa Lewis, I was a child, clinging to my parents' memory. Would I belong here? Scarred by the Carters' disdain, my old self feared rejection, but my reborn resolve pushed me forward. I knocked, my breath shallow. The door swung open, revealing a young housemaid with a bright smile. "Miss Lily? The master's been expecting you." Her warmth eased my nerves. I stomped the mud from my shoes, a habit from village life, and stepped inside. The house was quiet, its polished wood floors and ink paintings a world apart from the Carters' clutter. In the living room, Grandpa Lewis sat at a chessboard, his white hair glowing under a lantern. His opponent, an older man, grumbled as Grandpa slammed a piece, scattering the board. "Lily!" Grandpa Lewis's eyes lit up. He grabbed his cane, hobbling toward me, tears brimming. "Good girl, you've been through too much." His embrace, strong despite his age, melted years of loneliness. My old self, starved for kindness, wanted to sob, but I held back, whispering, "I'm here." His friend, Professor Gu, shouted, "Lewis, you cheating rascal!" but joined us, his stern face softening. Their welcome was a balm, a promise of home. Over tea, I poured out my story, Jason's betrayal, Emily's children, the Carters' theft of Grandpa Lewis's gifts, and my Tinga letter. Grandpa Lewis's face darkened, guilt etching his wrinkles. "I should have checked on you, child," he said, voice heavy. I shook my head. "You didn't know. They hid everything." Professor Gu's eyes narrowed. "Child, that marriage is done. My wife works for the Women's Federation. We'll file a forced divorce." His resolve sparked hope, a legal shield against the Carters. Grandpa Lewis insisted I stay. His home was my sanctuary. His family, 2 sons, a daughter, and their children, welcomed me like kin. Aunt Clara, his daughter, hugged me, her warmth stirring memories of my mother. "You're safe now," she said, her voice a lullaby. My old self, used to cold glances, struggled to accept their care, but my reborn heart opened, tentative but eager. That evening, laughter filled the house as grandchildren scampered, their chatter starkly contrasting with the Carters' silence. The next day, I visited a therapist recommended by Aunt Clara, a gentlewoman named Dr. Lin. In her quiet office, I unraveled my pain, Jason's indifference, the Carters' exploitation, and my years as a shadow in their lives. You were taught your worth lay in serving them, Dr. Lin said. Now you define it. Her words struck deep, echoing my parents' celestial plea. I spoke of my love for Jason, now seen as obsession, and my guilt for leaving the children. She said healing isn't erasing pain, but choosing yourself despite it. Each session peeled back my scars, teaching me to trust again. Professor Gu's wife, a fierce advocate, filed the divorce papers, citing the Carters' financial theft and Jason's infidelity. She showed me the documents, stamped with official seals, a legal end to my chains. You're free, Lily, she said, her eyes kind. I nodded, tears falling, not of sorrow, but relief. My therapy sessions continued, helping me process the Carters' betrayal as their fault, not mine. I vowed to honor my parents by excelling at Tingwa. Their dreams are now mine. As I settled into the Lewis home, tutoring the grandchildren in math, their giggles healed me further. My old self, once defined by duty, faded. My reborn self, a scholar's daughter, emerged. The Carters' shadow loomed, but I grew stronger with Grandpa Lewis's support and Dr. Lin's guidance. Beijing's lights beckoned, Tingwa's gates a step away. I was no longer their pawn. I was Lily, ready to shine, my new home a foundation for a life reclaimed. The village dusk settled over the Carter house, its sagging roof mirroring the family's crumbling control. Back in Beijing, I was finding my footing in Grandpa Lewis's warm home, my therapy sessions with Dr. Lin peeling away the scars of betrayal. The Carters, unaware of my escape, carried on, believing I'd return to their fold. My divorce threat and secret departure had shaken them, but they clung to their delusion of power. My reborn heart, steadied by my parents' celestial whisper, live for yourself, felt only resolve, no pity, for the chaos I'd left behind. In the Carter household, the air was thick and neglected. The two children, Emily's and Jason's, wailed, their beds soiled, untended since my absence. Mrs. Carter, pacing the main room, snapped, "Where's Lily? Get her to clean this mess." Jason, lounging with Emily, shrugged. "She's probably sulking in the city. She'll come back. She's not a kid." His nonchalance hid a flicker of unease. Emily, holding a crying child at arm's length, wrinkled her nose. "It doesn't smell perfect, Jason. Do something." Mrs. Carter, cursing my name, scrubbed the mess herself, her anger a storm brewing. Days passed with no sign of me, and panic crept in. Jason's confidence waned as the children's needs overwhelmed them. "She should have been back by now," he muttered, his voice tight. Mrs. Carter's eyes darted to the postbox, empty of Grandpa Lewis's money and tickets she'd stolen for years. "Something's wrong," she said, her face pale. Mr. Carter, usually stoic, slammed his fist on the table. "Find her, Jason. We need her for the kids." The truth dawned. I wasn't returning, and their control was slipping. Jason borrowed the village chief's truck, spinning a lie about me visiting a cousin in the city. Knowing I had no kin, the chief raised an eyebrow but drove. Jason rallied his army recruits in the county, combing markets and alleys from dawn to dusk. No trace of me emerged, their shouts lost in the city's din. At the train station, an older ticket clerk tilted her head at Jason's description. The girl in the yellow blouse with a ponytail? She took a train to Beijing. She said she was going to college, Tingwa University. Jason froze the words a thunderclap. He stumbled back to the village, dazed. "Mom, why didn't you tell me Lily got into Tingwa?" he demanded, his voice raw. Mrs. Carter collapsed into a chair, her hands trembling. "I hid her letter. She was ours to keep." Her admission, laced with desperation, revealed their greed. Mr. Carter's face hardened, but his voice was low. "She's with the Lewis family now. We'll bring her back. She's a Carter. She doesn't get to leave." Emily, clutching a child, paled, her college dreams tied to my servitude. Their plan to retrieve me crumbled the next day. The village chief arrived, his face grim, holding a sealed envelope from Beijing. "This came for you," he said, handing it to Mr. Carter. Inside was a forced divorce order from the Women's Federation, declaring Lily Carter and Jason Carter no longer married, free to live apart. Attached was a report detailing Grandpa Lewis's stolen funds, years of money and ration tickets, enough to raise 10 girls in luxury, siphoned by the Carters. The total stunned the chief, who'd seen the oily hair and bloated faces, evidence of their theft. Lily's at Tingwa, the chief said, his voice firm. Don't bother her, this order is final. The Carters stood frozen, the document a mirror to their shame. Mrs. Carter's voice broke. It's my fault. I should have hidden her ID better. Jason's chest hollowed, his future, built on my stolen resources, collapsing. Emily's smugness vanished, and her role in my oppression laid bare. The village buzzed with gossip, neighbors whispering of the Carters' greed, their disdain for me now a public disgrace. In Beijing, I sat with Dr. Lin, reflecting on the news Grandpa Lewis had shared, the divorce order's delivery, the Carters' exposure. Once tied to their approval, my old self might have felt guilt, but my reborn heart was calm. They made their choices, I told Dr. Lin. I'm not responsible for their fall. She nodded, her eyes kind. You're learning to let go, Lily. Your worth isn't in their hands. Her words echoed my parents' plea, grounding me in my new life. The Carters' unraveling was justice, not vengeance. I imagined their shock, their plans to drag me back shattered by official seals. My therapy had taught me to see their betrayal as their flaw, not mine. I felt free walking through Beijing's vibrant streets and Tingwa's gates looming. The Carters were a fading shadow, their greed a lesson I'd outgrown. My parents' celestial gift had given me this chance, and I'd honor it, my future bright with possibility. Beijing's autumn air carried the scent of ink and ambition as I walked through Tingwa University's gates, my heart alight with purpose. Months had passed since my escape from the Carters, their unraveling a distant echo in the village. Grandpa Lewis's home had become my sanctuary, and his family's warmth starkly contrasted with the Carters' coldness. My divorce was final, and the Women's Federation's order severing Jason's hold. Yet as I stood before Tingwa's towering library, doubt flickered. Could I, a self-taught village girl, belong among scholars? My parents' celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," steadied me, urging me to claim this dream. My first weeks were a whirlwind of lectures and late-night study. Chemistry, my passion since sneaking my father's textbooks as a child, was thrilling and daunting. Professor Gu, Grandpa Lewis's friend and a senior chemistry professor, guided me through complex equations, his stern demeanor softening when I grasped a concept. But the workload tested me. Organic reactions tangled in my mind, lab experiments failed under shaky hands. You're not here to be perfect, Lily, Professor Gu said after a botched titration. You're here to learn. His words eased my fear, but self-doubt lingered. My dorm mates, vibrant and curious, became my lifeline. May, a sharp-witted girl from Shanghai, shared her notes when I struggled with kinetics. A quiet poet with a knack for spectroscopy, Liang stayed late to quiz me. Their camaraderie replaced the Carters' disdain. Each laughs a stitch in my healing heart. One night, over steaming dumplings in the canteen, May teased, "Lily, you study like the world's on fire." I smiled, warmth spreading. "It was once," I said softly, my past a shadow they didn't yet know. Therapy with Dr. Lin continued as a compass for my soul. In her calm office, I unpacked the Carters' betrayal, my worth once tied to their needs. Dr. Lin said, "You're building a new foundation," her eyes kind. "Your studies, your friends, they're yours, not theirs." I spoke of Jason's dismissal, how I'd seen myself as less than Emily. "You were enough then," Dr. Lin countered, "and you're more now." Her words, echoing my parents' plea, helped me see my Tingwa journey as proof of my strength, not a fluke. Thomas Gu, Professor Gu's son, and a senior student, became my lab partner. His steady hands and quick mind steadied me during experiments, and his patience contrasted with Jason's impatience. "You've got a knack for this, Lily," he said after we synthesized a compound correctly. His warm but reserved smile stirred something unfamiliar, trust, not obsession. My old self, burned by love, hesitated, but my reborn heart opened, cautious yet curious. Like May and Liang's friendship, Thomas's guidance wove a new tapestry of belonging. Challenges persisted. A midterm exam loomed, its questions a maze of reaction mechanisms. I studied until dawn, my eyes burning, fearing failure would prove the Carters right, that I was only a mule, not a scholar. Dr. Lin's advice rang clear. Your fear is their voice, not yours. I pushed through, my pen steady, and scored high. Professor Gu's nod was a quiet victory. Each success chipped away at my old self's doubts, my reborn identity, Lily the chemist, taking root. Beyond classes, I tutored Grandpa Lewis's grandchildren. Their eager questions were a joy. One evening, as I explained fractions, Little Way hugged me, saying, "You're the best teacher." His trust, pure and unearned, healed wounds the Carters had left. Aunt Clara, watching, squeezed my hand. "Your family, Lily." Her words, once hard to believe, now felt true. My therapy sessions reinforced this. I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving, my worth no longer tied to others' approval. As winter neared, I joined a study group, our debates over chemical bonds sparking laughter and ideas. Thomas, leading a discussion, caught my eye, his respect clear. "You're going to do great things, Lily," he said, his voice earnest. I blushed, deflecting, but Dr. Lynn's words echoed, "Don't shy from your light." My old self, dimmed by Jason's shadow, was gone. My reborn self stood tall, ready for Tingwa's challenges. The Carters' betrayal was a faded scar, my future a canvas of possibility, painted with study, friendship, and hope. The crisp Beijing winter wrapped Tingwa University in a hush, its courtyards dusted with snow. Nearly a year into my chemistry studies, I thrived. Lab successes and friendships with May, Liang, and Thomas replacing the Carters' cold shadow. Therapy with Dr. Lin had rebuilt my sense of worth, my parents' celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," a constant guide. The Carters, exposed by my divorce order and financial records, were a fading wound, and their village disgraces a distant hum. Yet as I left the lab one afternoon, a classmate's urgent voice broke my peace. "Lily, someone's at the school gate. They say it's about home." My heart sank. "Grandpa Lewis?" I hurried across campus, the icy air biting my cheeks, my bag heavy with notes and the paternity test results I'd kept since summer. At the gate, a crowd of students buzzed, their curiosity a low murmur. Jason's loud, desperate voice cut through. "I'm here for my wife! Who are you to stop me?" My steps faltered. Jason, here, after all I'd escaped. Emily stood beside him, clutching the two children, now scruffy and tear-streaked, props in their ploy. Once cowed by Jason's presence, my old self stirred, but my reborn resolve surged, Dr. Lynn's words echoing, "Your strength is yours, not theirs." Jason spotted me, his face lighting with false relief. "Lily, let's go home. My parents are sick. They need you." His plea, laced with manipulation, was meant to guilt me. Emily stepped forward, her voice trembling for effect. "Lily, I know you're jealous of me and Jason, but we're cousins. How could you abandon your children? They miss their mom." She nudged the children, their sobs a calculated display. The crowd wavered, some students whispering, "Maybe she should go back." The kids are innocent. My old self might have buckled, but I saw their lies clear as glass. I stood tall, my voice steady. "Jason, did your army unit dismiss you? Is that why you're here, causing trouble?" His eyes widened, caught off guard. I turned to Emily. "And you? Did your college revoke your admission when they learned you bore children out of wedlock, meddling in my marriage?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Before they could counter, I pulled the paternity test and financial records from my bag, holding them aloft. "These prove the children are yours, not mine. And these records show the Carters stole years of support meant for me, using it to fund your lives." The students leaned in, their murmurs shifting. I continued, my voice cutting through the chill. "I raised your children for 18 years in my past life, Jason, while you and Emily built your futures on my stolen dreams. I owe you nothing." The truth landed like a stone, silencing the crowd. Jason's face paled, shame flickering. Emily's bravado crumbled, her eyes darting away. The children, confused, clung to her, their cries softening. My old self felt a pang for them, but Dr. Lynn's counsel held. "You're not their savior, you're your own." A student, May, stepped forward, her voice sharp. "You trapped Lily like a phoenix in a chicken coop. Shame on you." Liang joined his quiet tone firm. "You're no family. You're parasites." The crowd's sentiment turned, their disapproval a rising tide. Jason, red-faced, lunged toward me, his hand gripping my arm. "You think you're better now?" he hissed. Before I could react, my lab partner, Thomas Gu, surged from the crowd, his fist connecting with Jason's jaw. Jason stumbled, stunned, as Thomas shielded me. "Leave her alone," he growled, his calm eyes fierce. The students rallied, their unity a wall against Jason's desperation. A few pushed him back, their voices a chorus of disgust. "Get out! You don't belong here," Emily, humiliated, pulled Jason up, her face burning. The children wailed, caught in their parents' disgrace. Campus security arrived, their stern presence final. I faced Jason, my voice clear. I ate your food, yes, but I worked for it. Grandpa Lewis's money, stolen by your family, more than paid my way. You betrayed me, Jason. We're done. Come after me again, and you'll regret it. Jason's shoulders slumped, his fight gone. Emily, silent, dragged him away, the children trailing, their cries fading into the snow. The crowd dispersed, May squeezing my shoulder, Liang offering a nod. Thomas lingered, his gaze steady. You okay, Lily? He asked, his warmth a quiet anchor. I nodded, my heart full. Dr. Lin's words resurfaced. Your community is your strength. My old self, once alone, was gone. My reborn self stood surrounded, vindicated. The Carters' last grasp had failed, my freedom sealed in the light of truth. Spring blossomed over Beijing, and Tsinghua University's labs hummed with discovery. 4 years after I escaped the Carters, I stood at the cusp of graduation, my chemistry research a beacon of progress. The confrontation at the gates had silenced Jason and Emily, their shame a village away. Therapy with Dr. Lin and bonds with May, Liang, and Thomas had rebuilt me. My parents' celestial whisper, live for yourself, is now a song in my heart. Yet, as I polished my thesis, a shadow lingered. The children, Emily's and Jason's, tied to my past life's pain. My research with Professor Gu, a rigorous journey through failed experiments and sleepless nights, bore fruit. Our work on propulsion compounds promised to break foreign restrictions on aerospace systems, a breakthrough for our nation. Professor Gu, once stern, now beamed, handing me our published paper. Lily, this is historic, he said, his voice proud. My peers cheered, May tossing confetti and Liang reciting a poem. Thomas, ever steady, raised a glass at our lab celebration. He said to Lily, our star, his eyes warm, hinting at feelings I wasn't ready to name. The accolades culminated in a national medal, awarded at a grand ceremony. The medal's weight matched my heart's pride as I stood on the stage. My old self, the village girl crushed by the Carters, was a memory. My reborn self, a chemist shaping the future, shone. Dr. Lin's words echoed, your worth is yours to define. I thought of my parents, their celestial gift granting me this moment. Yet amid the applause, a letter arrived, its childish scrawl stirring unease. The children, now orphaned, sought me. Grandpa Lewis shared the news over tea. Jason was dismissed from the army after my reports had spiraled into the drink, neglecting his parents and children. Emily, overwhelmed, fled, leaving the family in ruin. The Carters, bedridden from neglect, died in pain. Jason, drunk, fell onto train tracks, his last words haunting. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Lily, please wait for me. The children, now 10, were left with neighbors, their lives a wreckage of their parents' choices. They'd written, begging to find me, their foster mother. In Dr. Lin's office, I wrestled with their plea. The children were innocent, their small hands once clasped in mine during my past life's 18 years. Yet their presence tied me to pain. Jason's betrayal, Emily's smirk, and the Carters' theft. I feel guilty saying no, I admitted, tears falling. Dr. Lin nodded, her voice gentle. Mercy for them shouldn't mean cruelty to yourself. What do you need to heal? Her question, rooted in my parents' whisper, clarified my path. I couldn't be their mother but offer care without sacrificing my peace. I contacted a welfare center in Beijing, renowned for its nurturing programs. Meeting the children, now thin and wary, broke my heart. We're sorry, the girl whispered, her brother clutching her hand. We just wanted a mom. I knelt, my voice soft. You're not to blame. I'll help you find a good home. I arranged their placement, funding their education with my research stipend, a balance of compassion and boundaries. Dr. Lin praised my choice. She said, you've honored your past self while protecting your future. My healing deepened by this act. Back at Tsinghua, I walked from Professor Gu's office, my thesis approved, my medal a quiet weight in my bag. Thomas met me, his smile inviting. Dinner to celebrate? He asked, his hand brushing mine. I hesitated, my old self wary of love after Jason's wounds. But Dr. Lin's counsel, don't shy from your light, nudged me. I nodded, a tentative step toward trust. Over noodles, Thomas teased. Your compounds outshine us all. Unlike Jason's coldness, his warmth felt safe, a possibility for tomorrow. Reflecting on Dr. Lin, I saw my journey's arc. My academic struggles, late nights, failed reactions, had forged my success, each step defiance of the Carters' dismissal. The children's fate, resolved with care, freed me from guilt, and my boundaries were a testament to my growth. My old self, defined by others' needs, was gone. My reborn self, a scholar and survivor, stood firm. As I looked to graduation, Tingua's gates wide, I vowed to honor my parents' gift, my future a canvas of science and hope, unmarred by the past. The summer sun bathed Tingua University in golden light, its courtyards alive with the chatter of graduates. 4 years after escaping the Carters' grip, I stood in my cap and gown, my national medal for aerospace research tucked in my pocket, a symbol of battles won. The confrontation at the gates had buried Jason and Emily's schemes, and my decision to fund the children's education through a welfare center had freed me from their shadow. Therapy with Dr. Lin, bonds with May, Liang, and Thomas, and Grandpa Lewis's unwavering love had rebuilt me. My parents' celestial whisper, "Live for yourself," now rang as truth, my heart whole. The graduation ceremony unfolded in Tingua's grand hall, banners fluttering like promises. As my name was called, I crossed the stage, my diploma a testament to late nights, failed experiments, and relentless drive. Professor Gu's proud nod, May's whoop, and Liang's quiet clap warmed me. Thomas, seated nearby, met my gaze, his steady eyes a silent vow of support. The crowd's applause was a tide, carrying me far from the village girl who'd toiled for the Carters unseen. My old self, defined by their needs, was a faint echo. My reborn self, a chemist and survivor, stood tall. After the ceremony, I wandered to the campus lake, its surface mirroring the sky. I sat on a bench, my diploma in hand, and let my journey unfold in my mind. The Carters' betrayal, Jason's coldness, Emily's deceit, their theft of Grandpa Lewis's gifts, had once broken me. My fall from the cliff, the celestial light, and my parents' voices had given me a second chance. Defying their plan to burden me with Emily's children, uncovering their lies, and fleeing to Beijing had been my rebellion. Each step, therapy, lab triumphs, friendships, had forged a new Lily who shone for herself. Dr. Lin's sessions taught me to see my worth beyond others' demands. "You've reclaimed your light," she'd said last week, her smile warm. Reflecting on the children, I felt peace. Funding their education was my gift, not a chain. Their future was theirs, not my burden. The Carters' downfall, Jason's drunken end, Emily's flight, their parents' neglectful deaths, was no victory, only a consequence. My old self might have sought vengeance, but my reborn heart sought only freedom, my parents' wish fulfilled. Grandpa Lewis waited by the hall, his cane tapping a joyful rhythm. "Your parents would dance in heaven," he said, his eyes misty. I hugged him, my anchor through this rebirth. His family, Aunt Clara and the grandchildren, had shown me love untainted by obligation, healing wounds the Carters left. I'd tutored Wei and his siblings, their laughter a melody of home. "You're staying for dinner," Grandpa Lewis teased. I nodded, promising weekly visits, my new family's cornerstone of my life. Thomas approached, his chemistry notes swapped for a bouquet of lilies. "For the graduate," he said, his smile soft but earnest. Scarred by Jason's betrayal, my old self flinched at his warmth, fearing another wound. But Dr. Lin's counsel, "Don't shy from your light," echoed, and I saw Thomas's kindness, steady where Jason's was hollow. "Walk with me?" he asked. We strolled by the lake, his presence a quiet possibility. "You've changed the world, Lily," he said, his voice low. "What's next?" I smiled, my heart open, tentative but unafraid. More science, maybe, and more life. As we talked, I saw my old self by the lake's edge, the girl who'd loved Jason, who'd carried the Carters' lies. She mouthed silently, walking forward, her form dissolving into light, my parents' gift complete. My reborn self, no longer bound by her pain, felt only gratitude. The Carters' shadow was gone, their story a lesson, not a chain. My future, research, friendships, perhaps love, was a canvas, vibrant with choice. I thought of my parents, their celestial embrace in that void, and knew they smiled, their scholar's daughter free at last. Standing with Thomas, the campus aglow, I vowed to shine, not for the Carter's ruin, but for the girl who'd risen, her light boundless. The lake reflected the stars, each a promise of tomorrow. I took Thomas's hand, a small step toward trust, my life reclaimed, my heart soaring with hope, my parents' whisper now my own, live, Lily, for yourself.